Hi, boys and girls. So our first lesson for this week is about multiplying a fraction and a whole number. So when we're doing this, we have to remember that our whole number actually is always it has an imaginary one underneath. So we've done this lesson before in school, and this is something that we tried to remember that this imaginary one is actually going to help us multiply just like with normal fractions, go straight across. So I'm going to go through a couple problems and then I'm going to have some examples for you guys to do, and then you'll do them on your own, and then I'll put the answers up so you can check your work. So when we have our multiplying fractions, or our fraction and whole number, here's our first example. 3 times 3, 6. Okay, so I have my imaginary 1 underneath my whole number. Now, it's still 3, but 3 over 1 is the same thing as just a normal 3, because 1 times anything is itself. So now I'm just going to multiply straight across. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 1 times 6 is 6. Now, I can't leave my fraction this way because it's an improper fraction. So I have to take out my 6. That becomes my whole number, equals 1 and 3, 6 is my answer. So I got this answer because we multiplied straight across, and I had my imaginary 1 to remind me that I'm doing 1 times the denominator. I do not use that 3 twice. You didn't see me go 3 times 3 and then 3 times 6. Remember, we can only use a number 1 time. So that's why we brought this 1 in to show us to multiply by that denominator. All right, let's look at another problem. Let me change the color. I don't like the red. 2 times 4/10. The first thing I have to remember is add my imaginary 1 to remind me to multiply that 1 by the denominator. Now I'm going to multiply straight across. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 10 is 10. I can leave my answer just like this because it's a proper fraction. My numerator is smaller than my denominator. Next problem. 7 times 5/9. And the first thing I need to do is, yes, my imaginary 1. So now I'm going to multiply straight across. So I'm going to do 7 times 5 equals 35 over 9. And I got my 9, if we remember, from doing 1 times 9 because I have my denominator. Now, this I obviously cannot leave it this way because it's an improper fraction. Now, I could subtract 9 like a bajillion times, but that's kind of annoying. So we had a different way of having our whole number. So I can skip count by 9. That's going to help me get my whole number. So I have 9, 18, 27, and then 36. I can't go over 35, so 36 is too big. I'm going to go back to 27. So that gives me a whole number of 3. I now have to think 35 minus 27, which is 8 over 9. That's another way that we can find our mixed number is skip counting. So now we have 2 ways to get our whole number, or I'm sorry, our mixed number. We can subtract out, or we can skip count. All right, I'm going to do one more problem for you guys before I put up your examples that you guys are going to do on your own, and then I'll go through the answers. 5 times 1/3. I have to put my 1 under my whole number so I can multiply straight across. And then I'm going to do 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. So I can do my subtraction because the numbers aren't very far apart from each other. So when I do 5 minus 3, I get, I have my whole number of 1, and I do 5 minus 3 is 2, and then I have my denominator of 3. So my answer is 1 2/3. All right, your job now is I'm going to put up 4 problems for you guys to complete, and then you're going to do the work on your own on a separate sheet of paper, and then I'm going to go through the answers at the end, and then you guys check your work. So 2 times 1/8, 7 times 3/5, 5 times 2/10, and 9 times 2/20. Go ahead and pause this video now and go ahead and solve these problems. All right, now that you solve these problems, I'm going to go through the answers so that you can check your work. So the first thing I have to remember, which I left a reminder here for you, so I hope you saw, that you have to put a 1 under your whole number. 2 times 1 is 2, and then 1 times 8 is 8. 7 times 3 is 21. 1 times 5 is 5. I'm going to skip count for this one to get my mixed number because I'd have to subtract too many times. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, 25 is too large. I'm going to go back to 20. So my whole number is 4, and 21 minus 20 is 1/5. Okay, over 1. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 10 is 10. And I think that we might know, I'm crossing my fingers that we remember that the same number as the numerator and denominator equals 1. If you just left your answer as 10 over 10, you wouldn't be wrong, but I would like us to simplify our answer to 1 since we should know that by now. All right, I have my 1 under my 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 1 times 20 is 20. And I can leave my answer just like this because my numerator is smaller than my denominator. I am going to post a picture of a anchor chart for you guys to look at. So you can watch this video as many times as you want, but you can also look at the anchor chart that I'm going to post, and then you can do your work. You only need to submit the must do at the of the packet, but the practice is great. Okay, meet me during my office hours if you have any questions, and turn in your work when you're finished.